Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Jayam Shabad Paramahamsa Prabhupada Stuttar Shata Shishimad. His Divine Grace Srila Vaishnava Arvind Bhaktivedanta Swami Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande. All glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees. Glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshulmilitanyena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamahyam Dadati Swapadandikam. Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Jata Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhan Vitanscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Shri Haripriya. Vancha Kalpadarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Ram Hare Hare. So, the third aspect of negative activity, which is called Prajalpa, and how it is detrimental to our devotional service, that we have to understand. First of all, what is this Prajalpa? Look at the person is having newspaper in the hand and talk with a liberal idea. Talking with one another is called Jalpan or Prajalpa. Talking with one another is called Jalpan. In this age or time, most of the people are engaged in godless talk. So, Srila Rupa Goswami writes in Karpanya Panjika Stotra that while chanting the holy name of the Lord, if a wretched person in his life achieve namabhas or a glimpse of offenseless chanting, then all his faults are destroyed and their lordship becomes pleased with him. If somebody is calling the name of the Lord, even in a Namabha stage, he is awarded liberation, but also gradually promotes him towards offenseless chanting, and every fault of his life can be mitigated. If that is the purpose, which is of the highest beneficial nature, who else can give? What kind of talk other than talking about the Lord or chanting His name, by tongue's vibration will give? Nobody can achieve any higher benefit by talking other things. That is the premise that we have to work upon. That not only all his sins are destroyed, but the Lordship become pleased with him. So, it means there must be right and wrong. Prajalpa. Actually, all activities like kirtan, offering prayers and reciting scriptures are prajalpa unless performed with the mood of devotional service and devoid of material desire. Even if we chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, but if it does not have the purpose to the serving of the holy name, then you better believe. We are not allowing, even though the all-powerful name of the Lord can deliver us, we will ourselves become such an atheist, not having even faith, and we will neglect that holy name. Mahajans like Srila Vyasadeva, Prahlad Maharaj and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu respect only that prajalpa that nourishes the devotion to Hari. One which is helping to remember Hari, that kind of talk is not a useless talk. So prajalpa that should be avoided is useless talks, arguments, gossip, debates, fault-finding in others, speaking falsehood, blasphemy the devotees, and worldly talks. This is the king of Prajalpa. Let's talk about what does it mean by useless talks. Useless talks, arguments, gossip, debates, fault-finding in others, speaking falsehood, blaspheming devotees, and worldly talks. Devotees should discuss topics of Lord Krishna with other devotees. That is recommended in Bhagavad Gita. Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantasya dridhavrata namasyantasya mam bhaktya nitya yukta upasate. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me, these great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. Machchita madgata prana bodhayantascha parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti charamanti cha. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. So, that is, if it is not conducive for the glorification of the Lord, that is a useless talk. So, argument, what are arguments? Arguments for the sake of winning about mundane topics, for the purpose of showing off or criticizing. Any argument for the sake of winning about mundane topic for purpose of showing off or criticizing is called prajalpa. Persons with a tendency to argue are given to false pride, envy, attachment to sense gratification, aversion, or foolishness. Such tendencies are unfavorable to devotional service. So we will avoid such people if they are ever found to engage in this kind of arguments. You can't take side of them. Such people may argue about mundane or spiritual topics, but the motivation is always material. They should be avoided. When the deliberations such as what is good and what is bad are based on the Vedas, then they are not Prajalpa. Whatever is recommended in the scripture must be discussed. You can deliberate on that. So therefore, Prabhupada always put up a quote from the Shastra to support his statement. Otherwise, it will be Prajalpa. One who does not refer to the Shastric authority so that is Prajalpa. Otherwise, always quoting to be safe side, that your talking does not become useless. Useless talk means Prajalpa. Arguments that help in advancement of Krishna consciousness are like Krishna Katha. The consciousness of the person is therefore very important. Still, people keep on talking, even in our movement. And it brings a very sad result. Useless talking. Just for sake of winning. But not to enhance devotional service. So, what is this gossip? Gossip is talking about, without reason, about other people. Gossip means talking without reason about other people. Just like you are picking up somebody. Or bullying. Huh? Bullying is part of gossip. To denigrate somebody. And it goes up to the extent, if you think you have to win him over by not argument, then put character defamation. Because certainly it will pull him down and will be happy. All this nonsense are going on still. And therefore, you will not find tangible progress. Once devotional service is chalked up, if one is engaged in this kind of activity, the motivation is often to establish one's own supremacy by implicitly or explicitly criticizing others. It's very sad that it is happening everywhere and anywhere, even in so-called religious institutions, all over the world, not only here. And if we see, what should we do? Don't participate. Krishna is in control. Otherwise, our devotional service will see its doom. When a sannyasi can afford to completely renounce talking about others, this is not possible for a householder engaged in earning, saving, protecting, and maintaining the family. Huh? But does it mean it's a license given to them? Huh? Householders are not given license. We should, as sannyasi, refrain from talking about others. The householder must therefore live in Krishna conscious family. When Krishna is at the center, then even this unavoidable talk is sinless and part of devotional service. So, all our, either for comparison or to become an example or to evaluate the merits of someone, like whether it's in the friendship or overall performance of Krishna conscious activity, because Krishna is in center, then it is not gossip. But generally people are so much dragged into politics where Krishna is not in center. If it is Krishna consciousness, then politics has no place. Politics is a pre-decided thing, and it works on groupism and pull somebody down by hook or crook. It's an organized effort. Preconceived, rather go through the merits of a person. That is gossiping. We have seen so many examples that people canvass everywhere. Canvass. Such thing, denigration. So, a useless quack can also be considered. Oh, it must be carrying some weight. So presumption in judging a person will be, that is a great offense. It is Prajalpa can drag to make an offense. Therefore, it should be avoided. So, when Krishna is at center, then even this unavoidable talk is sinless and a part of devotional service. But in politics, Krishna never remains in center. Yet he should not talk without reason or out of enmity. Even if Krishna is not in center, but such talk should not be without reason or out of envy. When a guru enlightens his disciple about some topic, then he may talk about others to make his instructions clear. But it's not a subjective pick up on a particular person. Rather, he talks on the principles. Example, Sukadeva Goswami's Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, first chapter, third and fourth verse, speaks about the mundane people for the purpose of illustrating to Maharaj Parikshit. What does it say? The lifetime of such an envious householder is passed at night either in sleeping or in sex indulgence, and in the daytime either in making money or maintaining family members. A renounced person doesn't have any need to talk, but nonetheless, this is a talk which exposes the truth for the envious nature of such people. It says, persons devoid of Atma Tattva do not inquire into the problems of life. Being too attached to the fallible soldiers like the body, children, and wife, although sufficiently experienced, they still do not see their inevitable destruction. This espousing of criticism, apparently, to the normal so-called householder life, become the strongest point against, that we should not become complacent and neglect this kind of instruction. They expose the absolute truth which are blocking our proper understanding. Such instructions are absolute truth, and they will break the blocks of misunderstanding. In other words, Srila Prabhupada says, the words spoken precisely are true eloquence. The words spoken precisely. Sukadeva Goswami is not telling round or goal. No, he drives the point at home simply by striking the nail on the head. This is the problem. To talk about the problem or the anomalies in our household life, it must be brought out. And this problem was spoken in Sanskrit in a very beautiful sloka that can be sung nicely. If I would have sung those slokas that Sukadeva Goswami, because we do not know, we think, it is very nice composition. But when it is translated by Srila Prabhupada, it's like a roaring of a lion. To shake up our lethargy in understanding. To shake up our complacencies and make us aware. It's not an insult. It is the true, and we must take a lesson. So if we are, trying to improve in our Krishna consciousness, then we must give heed to these instructions. Now, debates. Debates are useless prajalpa. Debates generally arise from a desire of conquest. Once again, it is the consciousness of the debater that is important. If it is for the purpose of advancing in Krishna consciousness, then it must be considered favorable. in which consciousness a debater is engaging himself. For example, Keshav Kashmiri came all the way from Kashmir. He was a Kashmiri Pandit. And he was a Digvijay, conquering everyone to put up his position as the person who knows the most and he's the best. So he will debate with anybody and everybody on any subject. So he came to Nadia because he heard about that Navadvip has been the center of learning, and there are great Pandits there. So if I challenge anybody, then I will win the whole India. There's nobody is greater than me. So there is a desire of conquering through the debate. So when he came, all the Pandits of Nadia, they were afraid of him. They were afraid of him because they heard his glories too. And they said, we may not be the match. But if we debate with him and if we fail, then it will be inglorious for Navadvip. Better we send this child Nimai because he also is very talkative. He speaks a lot. So it will not be a big deal if that Keshav Kashmiri defeats him. We will still have our own glories. What a big deal if you defeat a child in arguments. Kids do not know anyway. Their brain is small. But our brain is puffed up. And a big balloon can make it burst anytime. So, when a little Nimai came, yes, what can I do? Oh, you are a young kid. I can smash you in just 5 minutes. So Nimai said, go ahead. So Keshav Kashmiri, composed so many verses on glorification of Ganges. And Nimai was listening. Then he thought this ammunition, bombardment must have smashed him. So let me check. So he stopped. Do you have to say anything about this glorification? Can you make another glorification? So Nimai said, let me correct your glorification first and then I will make my own. Then he found so many faults in his grammar even. And it gave him a shock that this kid is not an ordinary. So, keeping Krishna consciousness as the desire and then debate, there is nothing wrong. But people do not want to debate. They do not want to debate. So, what can you do? They will take as it is. Just like that. In such a mood, a person does not care about victory or defeat because he thinks this is service to Lord Krishna. He may accept defeat if the debate becomes mundane. Because what is the use? Huh? If the subject matter of the debate is mundane, a Krishna conscious person doesn't want to debate. So when you deny him that I don't want to argue with you, this is a mundane subject matter. We don't give importance to it. Talk about absolute truth. Fault finding in others. Fault finding arises only because of imposing one's own bad habit on others. Fault finding arises only because of imposing one's own bad habits on others. The fly goes on the sore because the flies dwell in decomposing bodies. That's their preference. So, the nature of the mode of ignorance is prevailing in decomposing or dying matter. So, the subject matter that does not have life in it, or does not consider a devotee's progress and spiritual life, then that becomes a subject of contempt. Enviousness helps him to criticize the devotee. He always looks for fault finding. Means he has the contempt already invested in him and he wants to impose that bad element on others. A contentious effort. A person conscious of his own defects will tend to criticize other people for having or not having that defect. For instance, a person who is not fixed in sadhana may fault a sadhak as being too mechanical, lacking devotion, etc. And at the same time, fault on ostensible lack of sadhana in other devotees. Hey, look at that. He is not chanting properly. Let him chant. He may take a little long time. If we are not given jurisdiction of supervision of somebody, then why do we have to interfere? Is this understandable? This is called anartha. Fault finding is unwanted. But he is harboring this envious anartha in his heart, and it gives him little agitation. So he brings it out and imposes on other. He thinks, I'll be relieved of my anartha. No. You are getting into more offensive state if you criticize others. And keep your defect, hidden. speaking falsehood, rumors. It is another form of useless talks, rumors. Sukadeva Goswami in Srimad Bhagavatam, 12th canto, 12th chapter, 49th and 50th verses, says, words that do not describe the transcendental personality of Godhead, but instead deal with temporary matters are simply false and useless. Only those words that manifest the transcendental qualities of the Supreme Lord are actually truthful, auspicious, and pious. So, use the words or our speaking ability where it fits. That is vacho vegam, controlling the tongue or vacha. To speak is an urge. An urge has motion. Urge means it is having a force. And a loose tongue cannot be controlled. Loose tongue cannot be controlled. It will speak so much nonsense just to show the supremacy of his matter. Not consciousness, but matter. Only those words that manifest the transcendental qualities of the Supreme Lord are actually truthful, auspicious, and pious. Therefore, the Lord has been termed at Uttama Sloka. Uttama Sloka. One whose glories are sung in the choicest poetry is called Uttama Sloka. Some people try to develop such vocabulary to impress others. They use very clever words to artificially glorify, as if they know better. But in Srimad Bhagavatam, Sutta Goswami said, Na tad vachas chitrapadam Hare. The words that do not describe the glories of the Lord, actually they are the place of pilgrimage of crows. Tadvayasam tirtham ushanti manasa. People like crows, they have glorification of each other. People like crows. There is another also, Sukadeva Goswami says, Swavidvaraha ustrakaraihi sanstuti narapashu yat karnapato petho jatu nama gadagraja. Narapashu, men like animals. They glorify each other's habit. They scratch their back. Oh, you are such wonderful. The glorification of a dog's mentality in eating habit is glorified by a camel who has a very peculiar eating habit. And it's for the hog who is the king of eating habit, and an ass who has been an idiot, even in eating habit. They glorify each other. Sanstuti narasparas. They glorify each other about their eating habits. Swa means dog. How does a dog eat? First of all, he will be hanging around the kitchen area. As soon as the lady, the householder lady, goes from the side, he will enter, pick up a chapati or puri and run out. Go at a distance, He engulfs as if he has not eaten. All right? So quickly. Goes out at a distance and see nobody is watching. Okay, then he will vomit it and then again eat it. He will vomit. All the dog family animals, even a wolf, even this jackal, they are all dog family members. They have the same habit. They run away. Even if you see the hyena, they steal from the lion's share, run away, engulfs, then vomits and eat again. While running, he did not have taste, right? So, okay, he will vomit out and again very enjoyably he will eat. So, that is the dog's peculiarity in eating, and is very glorious because it's unparalleled. A camel, the hogs, a hog is eating the most abominable food, that is the refuse. It's a refuse of other animals. The stool-eating hogs. Prabhupada would say, if you give him hot halwa, he will say no. If you give him warm stool, he says yes. That is his peculiarity. The third is a camel. A camel reaches out with his long neck to the bushes. Simply with the leaves, he has to even chew the thorns with it. The thorn will cut his tongue, but the camel is so engrossed in eating that mixes with his blood and he thinks, what a taste. The foolish doesn't know that the food that has made the blood, the same blood he is eating again. The third is an ass. Prabhupada says, the grass is everywhere, but he doesn't have the inclination to eat, which is free. But no. I have a master. He shows me a very nice, colorful carrot in front. And I'm so obedient to him that I work hard for him day, all the way. And he gives me little grass. I am happily eating. It's a foolishness. Eating with such a hard endeavor. So the idea is that such glorification of eating habit, only one habit, makes them so peculiar. So men like such animals that who are simply, see, how do I do eating? How do I do mating? How do I do sleeping? How do I defend? Watch, it is me. Samstuti parapashu. Yat karna patopetho. They are the one on whose eardrum the holy name of Gadagraja does not fall. It means they have no consciousness of the Supreme. So men like such animals, they don't care. So they are glorified by similar people. So the words that do not describe the transcendental personality of Godhead but instead deal with temporary matters are simply false and useless. Only those words that manifest the transcendental qualities of the Supreme Lord are actually truthful, auspicious, and pious. The words describing the glories of all famous personalities of Godhead are attractive, relishable, and ever fresh. Indeed, such words are perpetual festivals for the mind, and they dry up the ocean of miseries. They dry up the ocean of misery. Blaspheming the devotees. Blaspheming the devotees is the source of great inauspiciousness. In blaspheme also you have to use your tongue to vibrate out something. It destroys all virtues in a person. Examples of Prajapati Daksha, when he blasphemed Lord Shiva, he lost his head virtually. One must take a vow, in my life I will never blaspheme a sadhu. Only then one can aspire for devotion to Lord Hare. Worldly talks are completely rejected by renounced devotees. Householders may accept some worldly talks as long as it is favorable to devotional service. You might have to speak to your boss. The machine is working very nice. You can't say, oh, the machine is working very nice with the grace of Krishna. That is not necessary. Then he will say, what are you talking? He will say, talking nonsense. So don't invite that blasphemy for ourselves either. We should not become an instrument that somebody may be induced to blaspheme a devotee or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's also an offense. Anything that is related, to blasphemy, that has to be prevented. So in conclusion, whatever prajalpa that is not favorable to devotional service should be given up. While vacho vegam means tolerate the urge to speak is a conditional urge. Giving up prajalpa is permanently regulating this urge. How do I control this vacho vegam? The first verse is starting with vacho vegam manasa krodha vegam, and we think it is for the sannyasis. But we have to practice in household life immediately. Vacho vegam. One need discuss only whatever is auspicious for oneself and others. Why should we discuss something which will bring inauspiciousness to ourselves as well as others? In Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 28th chapter, 2nd verse, Lord Krishna instructs Uddhava. Whoever indulges in praising or criticizing the qualities and behavior of others will quickly become deviated from his own best interest by his entanglement in illusory dualities. Illusory dualities. We finish fast. We might go on other one too. But anybody has any question on the Prajalpas? Yeah.
What about when we hear others bordering criticizing devotees? It's not like they're outright criticizing them, but it's not very...
Indirect way?
Yeah.
He might have a political aim.
Should we...
Is somebody speaking in tongue? Means... or code words? No. We should not hear nothing that displeases the heart. It's a social custom that it dictates Satyam vada, priyam vada. Asatyam apriyam mavada. If you want to speak the truth, truth should be spoken only palatable. And Prabhupada said, we are not entertainers to the society. We call spade a spade if it comes to defying Krishna. So Swami Sachidanand of Gujarat is a big blasphemer of Krishna. Is a Mayavadi number one. So equip with this. If they have argued, then send it to me. I will tackle them. Yes. What are we supposed to do? Equip with conviction, and all this ammunition of the Shastric quotations are there. You know, he will not give any Shastric quotation that the Vedas say this way or that way. Bhagavad Gita is good enough to smash them. And we will not be doing Prajalpa with him. But to hear such, unauthorized commentaries is also Prajalpa. To hear them blaspheming. So we have to be very careful. Any other question? Yes?
And the very last point, Krishna to Uddhava, where he says that either praising or criticizing is unfavorable, why praising would not be favorable?
Whoever indulges in praising or criticizing the qualities and behavior of others, that means there is no subject matter of Krishna consciousness in it. Such praising material qualities or criticizing material qualities, both of them, what will they bring out? Nothing. One will become deviated from his own best interest, which is spiritual. So, like Gramya Katha. Gramya Katha means you either praise or criticize anybody materially. It is forbidden. We should not allow Gramya Katha. And because in most Hindu temple people go for socialization, they end up doing Prajalpa. And therefore their upbringing in Krishna consciousness is never happening. Because they are not taught all these things. Isn't it? Our temples are mostly socializing. Here we do not allow. We give them superior engagement and warning. This is the result of Prajalpa. Unnecessary talking. Too much. If you have to talk, talk of Krishna. Some Mayavadi people take a vow of not talking at all. Oh, I don't want to create Prajalpa, so I will take Maun Vrat. Speak about Krishna. But he is afraid, oh, if I speak about Krishna and I may become, attracted to other talks. So better not to talk about Krishna even.
So praising one's devotional quality is an achievement.
Definitely. That is always glorify others' devotional service. It is not Prajalpa. We have to praise each other only on the basis of our devotional service.
Can there be any management without politics?
Prabhupada wanted spiritual management.
What actually they propose, what provokes one to engage in Prajalpa? Is it the one of
Desire, material cravings. Generally, Prajalpa is arising from the desire of becoming prominent, predominant. See? Even in the argument, for the sake of winning mundane topics, for purpose of showing off or criticizing, is Prajalpa. They are trying. They have harbored desire from within their heart. They are popping out, and they use different faculties to convey that. Actually, we call it a misuse of our senses.
is it due to the conditioning or?
Of course. No. It is conditioning. The soul is conditioned by the three modes of material nature. So all these complicacies occur, and he adds everywhere his desire, so his desires are tainted. They do not remain pure desires.
Also, during while we are doing the preaching, sometimes when we take up a conversation with a newcomer, just to connect, we have to start the conversation on a very mundane platform, then slowly bring them to the platform. So, though
we are trying to utilize the mundane argument in service of Krishna. The center is Krishna.
There's no Prajalpa. No.
We do not encourage Prajalpa. But we use it in Krishna's service. Right? Isn't it? If somebody amongst us, he's a doctor, we praise. Yes, you are in such a public service. And because you have a benevolent service, you are very compassionate on the people who are sick, so you want to help. And he will be helping the devotees. And when he says, that you should refrain from overeating, all right? I cannot say that you can refrain from over-accumulating, but I will say at least refrain from overeating. That is beneficial for your health. But we know that. So that is not a Prajalpa. He is telling only in the reference of his overeating. But we are understanding it's also over-accumulating. Probably he may not agree there. So we should not criticize him. Right? So conversations that lead to foster relationship in Krishna consciousness is not a Prajalpa. We'll be talking on Niyamagraha, another element of our discouragement in devotional service. Niyamagraha means too much attachment to or too much neglect of the rules and regulations. What are the niyamas? Niyam means rules that contain two types, vidhis and nishedas. Vidhis means prescriptions and nishedas means prohibitions. Vidhis or prescription is whatever is enjoined as one's duty as a prescribed rule, and they are coming from the Shastra. So, the vidhi is to chant 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And nishedas, prohibitions, whatever is enjoined as a restricted or a prohibited rule. The rule is no meat eating, no illicit sex, no gambling, no intoxication. Period. So, these rules and regulations, the niyamas are there. Niyamagraha, so here is the controlling aspect of our activity. The rules and regulations. Regulations are a prescription and prohibitions. So both are auspicious for the living entities. Okay, let's see. Low position, exalted position. From low to exalted position is the progress. Conditioned souls are eligible to attain a very exalted position from a very low position. Position is there. Right now we are positioned in the material body. All right? The position means sthiti. We have been stabilized even for temporary, but it is existing that we are there. But we do not know how to evaluate ourselves whether we are on a high or low position. The low position is based on what? And high position is based on what? That we have to understand. It is a gradual, stepwise progression. So, between the two positions, also there are many positions. From the low to the high or exalted position, there are in between many positions. Each position is a gradual step. Each gradual step is a distinct level of advancement. And each and every gradual step has different prescriptions and prohibitions. When one step on a level, he or she is obliged to follow the prescriptions and prohibitions of that step. Is it understandable? Between one step and another step in a progression, they have their individual prohibitions and regulations. So if you follow, you attain the next level step, that is an advancement. So Krishna is telling the process of Krishna consciousness is very, very excellent. Pratyaksha avagamam dharmyam susukham kartum avyayam. Pratyaksha means it will be performed right before your eyes. Avagamam means stepwise progression. Dharmyam susukham kartum avyayam. Rajavidya rajaguhyam pavitram idam uttamam pratyaksha avagamam dharmyam susukham kartum avyayam. Avagamam means to progress in a stepwise. So at every step you will be given direction. Understandable? How do we estimate a progress? Rupa Goswami gave the formula of stepwise progression. Adau shraddha tato sadhu sangha atha bhajana kriya atha anartha nivritti syat tato nishtha ruchi asakti bhav prem. There are 9 steps. And to progress from one step to another, they have their own rules and regulations. Prabhu, how do I go from Shraddha to Satsanga? Can you separate Shraddha and Satsanga? No. People who are newcomer, either by our say friendship and other kinds of notions, they may join, but it may click them by association. So faith is generated by association. And faith will be nurtured by association also. So therefore we say, chant in association of the devotees. Do not do alone. That is the most important step. And this step will continue on its own merit, that whatever we do is in association with the devotees. If one is unable to attain the next step, he or she falls to a lower step. That is called degradation. Advancement and degradation. So, we need to look into this very properly to follow the precepts of one's own level. It's called one's prescribed duties or the steadiness in one's position. Each and every rules and regulations between the steps are necessary, and they are called prescribed duties. It will increase and increase. It will become very distinct from the previous level. If we perform our prescribed duties, it will bring steadiness in our position, that wherever advancement position we have, So, steadiness in one's own position is called piety. We gain purification. And deviation from one's position is called impiety. Means we become sinful. What is meant by purified and sinful? Sinful person means we are not advancing, rather we are degrading ourselves. That is called sinful. So, this has been delineated. So, what does the scriptures talk about this? In Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 21st chapter, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th slokas, Lord Krishna spoke these instructions to Uddhava. Steadiness in one's own position is declared to be the actual piety, whereas deviation from one's position is considered to be impiety. In this way, the two are definitely ascertained. O saintly Uddhava, in order to restrict materialistic activities, I have established that which is proper and improper among all materialistic things, including time, space, and all physical objects. This was the instruction. That Krishna has devised this progression. So prescribed and prohibited rules are of two types, conditional and constitutional. Yesterday we also touched the subject matter of our constitutional position and conditional position. What are the activities we do in constitutional position and the activities performed in conditional state of life. So, conditional and constitutional. The prescription and prohibitions in the living entity's constitutional position are called constitutional rules. What are the constitutional rules? Because he is established as Krishna Nitya Das. So there are constitutional rules. What are the constitutional rules? The living entity is a pure spirit. We are living entities. Our constitutional composition is pure spirit. In the eternal state of the living entity, prema is the only prescription and envy is the only prohibition. Got the idea? Our target is very much prescribed love of Godhead. Prema is the only prescription that our progressive march towards the Pancham Purushartha, this is the target. And envy is the only prohibition. We have to stop animosity with each other. This is the only prohibition. We can't promote envy. The prescription and prohibition is subordinate to the living entity's eternal nature. Our eternal nature is that we are qualitatively one with Lord Krishna and subservient to Lord's desire, not our desire. So, the living entity is in the shelter of eternal rasa. We are under the shelter of eternal rasa. Because when we progress towards our internal bhajan, and pure chanting happens, then these rules and regulations will apply because they are of higher stage. Right now, we do not think much about our constitutional rules. Now we are conditioned state. So conditional rules are, there are different rules for each step, still are all broadly divided into three categories. According to Vedas, Bhagavad Gita and all Smritis, three principal divisions are found in karma, jnana and bhakti. The karma, rules of varnashram and 10 supplementary sanskaras, as well as the regulative prayers are prescribed. Sins and bad habits are prohibited. Through the jnana, the conditional rules are sannyas, renunciation, detachment, and discussing matter and the spirit are prescribed. Talk of detachment. It's a rule. Why it's a rule? Because we have to come out from the conditional state. Detachment. Talk. You have to ascribe to such rules and regulations. Fruitive activities, forbidden activities, and attachment to the sense enjoyment are prohibited. If we have to make a progress from the conditional level. According to the bhakti, these rules are also described like indifference, performance of activities favorable to devotion, following the prescription and prohibitions of jnana division also, and cultivating devotional service with the help of those prescribed, and prescriptions and prohibitions are prescribed. All activities opposed to the Lord, jnana, renunciation, attachment to sense enjoyment, conclusion opposed to the devotional service, and giving up action are prohibited. We should not get into that. So, this has some practicality. How would we, think, how will it work? The conditions role is there. Illicit activity and low-class character. Then he has been told to engage into karma kanda. Remain in VD and aspire for jnana by discussing differences between matter and spirit and analyzing the nature of false ego. What is VD? Varnashram dharma. Detachment from material activities. Again, no, yes, inclined to the rules of Krishna. What? Karma kanda. Okay, that's good. So, here we are told that following Varnashram dharma, where there are independent rules and regulations will be there, and they are also meant for stepwise progression. So, karma kanda, can recycle. Means it's not going to liberate us. But nonetheless, it is prescribed to regulate the society and the functionality, which was a prescription. Jnana Kanda means remain fixed in knowledge. That is, it's not going to make a progress. So, Jnana Kanda remains fixed in knowledge under the rules of Jnana Kanda. The taste for devotional service and faith, Bahunam Janmanamante, will be manifested. So, awakens the taste for devotional service by Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, and act according to the regulative principles. So at no intermediate stage you can avoid this if you want to genuinely progress. So it will demand, or the devotion naturally will make us detached, give up the attachment to Jnana Kanda, otherwise there is no advancement. Jnana Kanda, Karma Kanda, Sarva Vedera Bhanda. Vedera Bhanda. They are the pots to be broken, you know. So Srimad Bhagavatam 11th canto, 20th chapter, 31st verse, it says, therefore, for my devotees engaged in my loving service, with mind fixed on me, the cultivation of knowledge and renunciation is generally not the means of achieving the highest perfection in this world. Because my devotees are attracting my mercy. So they do not need. So it gives a promise that rules and regulations are to be performed only up to the necessity that it invokes the progress in devotional service. Otherwise, they are obstacle in themselves. The temple of Krishna Prema is situated on the highest peak of Golok Vrindavan. In order to reach there, one has to cross 14 planetary systems on Karma Kanda level. 14 planetary systems of Karma Kanda. Karma Kanda is also progressive. So, when we cross that, the Vraja Brahmaloka of Jnana Kanda, the Viraja means the river that separates material and spiritual world. The Jnana Kanda will take you on the shore of Viraja river. So, attachment to Karma Kanda, attachment to Jnana Kanda, both will not help us to lead to Bhakti. Bhakti is completely, beyond the Karma Kanda and Jnana Kanda. So Bhakti stages are there, and Vaikuntha is there, and Temple of Krishna Prema is the highest on the top. So, Shraddha is the only rule for the people established on level of Bhakti. Shraddha is the only rule. No other prerequisites. Therefore, Adav Shraddha. The beginning is from Shraddha. It's the only rule. How does one advance on the stages of Bhakti? How does one get Nishtha? How does one get the taste for devotional service, Ruchi? And how does one get attraction to? What is this DS? Devotional service, okay. How do I reach to the rasa stage? So Shraddha is the only rule for the people established on the level of bhakti, and performs devotional service under the shelter of sadhu and guru. So unwanted habits and anarthas are destroyed. One also becomes free from the material attachment by such association. So Shraddha develops into nishtha, or firm faith. And the interaction in firm faith also carries on in the association of the sadhus. So can develop into ruchi stage. Ruchi develops into asakti. Asakti of what? Ruchi means the taste. Taste for devotional service. And asakti means spontaneous devotional service. Then bhava or emotion stage, and then rasa or prema stage. So these are 4 stages in the process of sadhana: bhakti, shraddha, nishtha, ruchi and asakti. In Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 14th chapter, 26th verse, it is said, when a diseased eye is treated with medicinal ointment, it gradually recovers its power to see. Similarly, as a conscious living entity cleanses himself of material contamination by hearing and chanting the pious narration of my glories, he regains his ability to see me, the absolute truth, in my subtle form. According to the degree of faith, each level has different rules. As one leaves behind one level and progresses to the next level, he should honor the rules of later and live besides those of the former. Otherwise, no advancement. One will be bound to that level. A general rule is given in Padma Puran is remembering Krishna is the eternal duty. All other prescriptions have arisen from this main prescription. Satatam smartavyam Vishnu, vismartavyam na jatu chit, sarva vidhi nishedha syuh etor eva kinkara. All the rules and regulations become subservient to the cardinal principle for remembering the Lord. Anything you do in devotional service, like that. Forgetting Krishna is never allowed. And all prohibitions have arisen from this main prohibition. If prohibitions are there, then they are for remembrance. So, forgetfulness of Krishna is never allowed. How to gain? The prohibitions are there for you to remind him always. Again in Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 20th chapter, 36th verse, this is all coming under Uddhav Gita. The process of bhakti. A learned transcendentalist dedicated to the cultivation of knowledge and thus detached from external objects, or my devotee who is detached even from the desire of liberation, both neglect those duties based on external rituals or paraphernalia. Thus, their conduct is beyond the range of rules and regulations. So on the higher stage, the rules and regulations of the lower stage is not followed. When one becomes pure devotee of the Lord, then devotion is spontaneously established in the heart. What then is the need to observe rituals that simply obstructs one devotional service? So the conclusion is that the practitioner attains a higher level as a result of following the rules prescribed according to his qualification. He should not maintain attachment for the rules of his previous level. Keeping this instruction always in mind, he should always engage in chanting and remembering Lord Krishna and thus continue advancing to the higher level. So, the rules and regulations just for the sake of following and not advancing should be rejected. But do not neglect the rules and regulations otherwise. That is called Niyamagraha. Graha or agraha means to hold or to reject. Agraha is agraha. And insistence that must follow. Baba, it is not conducive to make progress. What kind of rules and regulations? One cannot manufacture new rules. One should not manufacture new rules if one really wants to advance. All right, this was a little complicated, isn't it? It's very technical. Well, we'll try again then. This was an extra because of the time consumption. Still, if you have any question, we can discuss.
Maharaj, just wanted to ask, we're trying on the devotional path, but we're not perfect. So, with the association of Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, we are following the path very strictly, or trying at least. But still we are lost on the way sometimes.
Means you are not following the recommendation of Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. Come on, don't be complacent. What are you following? No. I have already been initiated. Why do I have to follow any more? Means I must have reached. Where is the progress? Phalena parichiyate. How would you judge the progress? What are the symptoms of the progress? We are not perfect. That's a complacency rather than an excuse. More you invest Krishna, more you will become rich. The only problem is that our false ego is interjecting every time and make all the instructions redundant. Our material desires are so much powerful, so I cannot hear Krishna or Guru. Only something happens which is totally disfavoring me, then I will listen, otherwise not. We are predetermined in our pursuit. And that's why we have come. And we should be honest about it. Isn't it? But progress will not be there.
Manoj, you mentioned this Vidhi and Nisheda. So by purely following the Vidhi, 16 rounds and regulatory principle, obviously they are the stepping stones for us to progress in the spiritual life. Now, also this mentioned that Niyamagraha is over-interfering. There is rules.
Over-attachment to the rules and regulations.
Is it also like a prayasa? Is it correct to that? Because prayasa is also over-interfering. So.
No, but this is internal. You have to follow within yourself. Then you have to act on the prohibitions. That you have to work hard through the body to give up. But after all, this is an internal process. Niyamagraha. We are given rules and regulations to follow, right? We have not been told, okay, beat your head with the shoes, 10 times a day before you go to work, These are not the kind of... But we have been told, beat your mind with the shoes before going home to work. So, and tell it, work for Krishna. Then we will have no problem. How would you beat your mind? Not by beating head. It's an internal process. How would you chastise your mind? Dushtamana tu kisere Vaishnav. So, it's a reflection of how we have to chastise our mind. Rules and regulations for the proper development of consciousness, where the do's and don'ts are there. They must follow physically, right? They must follow physically, because it will help us to bring on at least more of goodness. So our process becomes very pleasant to perform. And but there are two types. For the material body, rules and regulations are there. For the spiritual soul, rules and regulations are there. So the process of progression is Adav Shraddha Tato Sadhu Sangha Atha Bhajana Kriya Atha Anartha Nirvrittisya Tato Nishtha Tata Ruchi Asakti Bhavan Prem. And this is all centered around Krishna. So you take up any physical process. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atminam. And it has also a progression between the steps. The progression is there. So, rules and regulations are there. Rules and regulations of the Shraddha to Prem is there. So methods are there and the process is there. Process is also through methodology. But one is for execution through the body, another is an internal progress. How would I associate with sadhus internally? Yes. Not only physically, but internally. That is the association. So one is an internal, another is external. X-axis and Y-axis. Put up the graph. Where are we? Where do we cross? If somebody is rejecting altogether rules and regulations, or if somebody is simply following for the sake of following, this graph is not there. You can't pinpoint where he is standing, what is his progress. Anyway, we'll have to study a little deeply about this. Yes?
Thank you for amazing class. Maharaj, in one slide you mentioned that devotees who are like very advanced, they sometimes like not following, they seems like they are not following any rules. So like if I talk in terms like in India, it's very difficult to judge someone who is really advanced devotee or not, because in here Prabhupada, like I heard once that if Krishna is in center or he is worshipping Krishna, then he is right. Then how we like generally in outside because then people argue sometimes that I don't follow the rules but I consider Krishna, our God as.
Prabhupada became exemplary by following the rules. He tried to encourage for this, but he was on the stage of not necessary to follow the rule. Okay? But he showed us by becoming an example and just to teach us. So, the rules and regulations must be followed with a desire to progress in Krishna consciousness. Oh, these are dumb rules. What is going to make difference? I will chant other way around too.
In Bhagavad Gita, why Krishna has said that that the Brahmins sing Gayatri and that Gayatri, and what is the importance of Gayatri in Krishna consciousness?
Gayatri chandasamyaham. Actually, in Samveda, the Gayatri is said to be a type of meter. In a particular way it has to be sung. Krishna says that very self, the potency is being carried, it's very self, that is me. So, it is Krishna's opulence. We meditate on the Gayatri and the meaning, and it is only for Krishna. Krishna is the center of the meditation, and the Gayatri conveys that absolute truth, personality of Godhead who is being meditated. So we need to remain enthused through the agency of some personalities, like Guru, Krishna, even Sun God, to meditate on Krishna as Gopal or the Kamadev. That these are all deep meditation on that Supreme Personality for particular purpose, and in the tradition of Brahmaji, that we are receiving this 5 Gayatris, So like that.
We can chant Gayatri with Hare Krishna Mahamantra.
No, Gayatri has a particular purpose to meditate on while we are chanting. Hare Krishna Mahamantra itself is enough to cross the ocean of birth and death. But to expedite in realization of Krishna's personal feature, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, how Brahma realized him, because that is the subject matter, the one who follows him in the disciplic succession of Brahma. So we are coming from Brahma's disciplic succession, so we have to learn how Brahma got benefited. He is the first living entity. So we should follow his recommendation. That is the process of parampara. Gayatri is an intensified meditation.
But for a Brahmana, it's compulsory to chant the Gayatri.
Of course. It is compulsory. Then why he has to become Brahman if he is not compulsory? It's a stage of advancement and entrustment. And without fail, chant 3 times a day. Sit down and meditate. Yes.
Maharaj, there are 2 types of rules you said. One is constitutional rules and conditional rules. Like if somebody is able to do constitutional rules properly, but not the conditional rules properly, how will be his advancement?
Well, it's like a Sauchakunjarvat. We are taking a very clean bath in clear water, then come out and throw dust on our body. If we don't want to take care of our conditioning, then it will be very difficult to remove the subtle conditioning, which is very hard. So conditioning has to be given up. So constitutional position will become very, very prominent. I think that to eradicate the conditional, situation, it's easier than constitutional. It's difficult, But nonetheless, the progress is more important on constitutional side. That will subside the conditioning also. There are certain emergency rules which are different than the regular rules in conditioning. But it is for emergency only. Then no sin will occur. But otherwise, 3 modes are more powerful than our conditioning rules to be followed. They will capture the Jivatma.
Could you please elaborate more, like how to feed the mind?
Try it in your sleep, Prabhu. Before you go to sleep and before you wake up. In the night, shoes are good enough. In the daytime, broom is good enough. But beat threatening the mind. Don't forget, or don't make me forget Krishna. Threaten. Who threatens whom? Who threatens whom? If you threaten your mind, it means the soul. Soul is powerful. Generally, the soul in conditioned state will think, why should I threaten my friend? I'm going with his advice. I love it. He's my friend. But if you scrutinizingly understand that he has been cheating, then you have to start threatening. That means the soul is becoming more predominant over the mind and false ego. Beat him, beat him. Don't spare. All right, so thank you very much. All glories to Prabhupada.